Great. So I'm joined by my good friend today, and another just overall very happy customer. How's it going over there, man?
Doing good, doing good. Another good round of interviews.
Another great round of interviews. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, tell me, I mean, recently right now you just secured a few offers. How many offers have you secured?
So at the moment, I have one offer in hand, one verbal, and one coming up next week, which I strongly expect.
There you go. There you go. We're happy
Yeah.
about that. How many interviews were you averaging a week this time around?
This time around, it was a little bit more challenging. I've probably averaged 3 interviews a week through 3 first rounds, but the trick here is I was a little bit more specific because this is my third time using the PG method, so to speak. The first time is really exploring, is really trying to understand how to interview really well. And you learn that process with Product Gym really well in first time, but it takes an effort and you go through a lot of interviews, a lot of failure, and you eventually get that first offer, especially on the product side of things. Second time, for whatever reason, whether you get laid off, whether you want to get a new job, it gets a little bit better. Third time that I'm doing this now, it was much, much easier. I've done a lot fewer interviews in a lot shorter time. It took me only 8 weeks to roughly secure my interviews and get to final rounds. And I was able to take that much further because I have the experience of understanding how to talk about myself, how to sell myself as a product manager. I have a lot more experience and I have a lot more confidence talking through that entire process, especially interviewing. So this process was much easier and shorter for me on a third time around.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. What do you think was like the most like what do you think about like was and what was like probably like total job hunting timeline for this time around? What was the time frame?
Yeah, so this time I've really started I would say closer to November, late October.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's challenging. People go on holidays, so that kind of
Oh,
creates a little additional friction points as far as like expedite the interviews, making sure that everything is week after week. But even then, it was easy enough to secure those interviews and go through the process. One thing that really helped me is I've kind of staggered some of these interviews, and I've advanced to final rounds or close to final rounds early on. So I was able to tell these employers to condense the interview schedule with me because I'm expecting an offer. They were willing to cooperate and they shortened that 2 months process, sometimes 3 months process that it takes to go from round one to final round to get an offer, sometimes to 2 weeks. And one of the offers that I got right now, I've done it within a 3 week period, and it was pretty easy. As long as you're transparent, and if you can operate on a much condensed schedule, meaning that you have preparation, you understand what they're doing, you're confident talking about yourself, you're if you tell them, very often they're willing to work with you and make this process a lot shorter. And I would recommend doing that because your time is so important. So prolonging a job by a month, this could be 10, 20, $30,000 in your pocket that you're not getting just because you're extending the interview process.
dude, I love it. Interview process. I'm just gonna take that note down. That is a great note to have. Let me see this here. And then like overall, like in addition to that, how do you feel about the market so far? Like going into New Year?
I don't know. So 2 months ago when I started, I kept reading horror stories. I mean, you hear thousands of product managers, thousands of engineers and marketers all getting laid off, right? Massive layoffs. I think the tech space has lost hundreds of thousands of jobs over the last 6 months, over the last year. We're constantly hearing of layoffs, and I think they're constantly happening, but now quieter because the RTO is essentially a layoff, just in a different under a different name. So I was very concerned. And I think the first couple of weeks I was applying to positions that I'm very qualified for. And at the same time, I was just kept getting rejected. And people are saying, hey, you don't have experience, or we decided to go with somebody else. But then you started getting traction. And then that kind of fear disappeared. So I think that it's not about your skill set. And I think you mentioned this in the previous session that I jumped on to for a second. It's not about your skill set. It's about you making them understand that you are the person they want, that you are the best fit. So you will win out Google product managers, you'll win out Microsoft product managers is because you're able to sell your skill, you're able to connect with them, you're able to sell. You're able to sell. Ultimately, it's selling yourself. And if you learn how to do this, you're going to be shooting way, way, way above your skill level. So skill level is not the most important thing, I think, because I was able to secure very good positions with companies that I'm very interested in.
That is basically it. Like we we actually talked about that today on the live call, which is somebody that's been like, I get so many people that's been pondering about joining Product Gym. They say they're so qualified. And I did tell you about this one person that's like stalking all of the companies and who they end up hiring after they rejected this person. And they're always hiring somebody with almost always hiring somebody with less experience. So I think like one of the biggest problems in the job hunting market right now is people feel so they've been feeling so emotionally defeated that they've really lost a lot of logic and I think just common sense is like, do you honestly think there's just that many unqualified, like unskilled product management labor in the US market? It's just not possible. So like it really comes down to fit and it really comes down to like your mentality and how they feel about you. And the people that like I guess it's a combination of like they don't believe it. They feel like it's such a core belief in their head. Like it's almost like letting a child know that Santa Claus doesn't
Mm,
exist, or they feel like it's a skill that they're just gonna have to work so hard to try to develop, but they're actually prolonging their job hunt because the market's already flowing this way. So if you're not like actually if you're not going in that direction, I mean you're just gonna get left behind. So you're like a testament, right? Starting off in like November, right now, January, securing multiple offers. Um, this is exactly what it is that we want to go ahead and see. Focus, like still focusing on volume approach, but also understanding that it's about culture fit right now. That's actually what's going to get you the job. Skills are important, but like
hmm
more like, having skills, is like saying this. So many PC users or Android users will say like, why are you buying an iPhone? Why are you buying a
hmm
Mac? Like it can do the job. And I'm like, yeah, there was a time when people used to say, why are you using a Yahoo search engine, like Google search engine? Yahoo can do that. Nobody's
hmm
saying that now. You know?
I think another important thing on this topic is that a lot of people have the skill to be a product manager. I think what people don't have the skill is to sell that idea that they can be. I think that people invest a lot of time in securing, trying to secure interviews. They're applying for jobs. They're using job application system, whatever it may be. But they're spending a lot of time trying to focus on the company, learning about the company. Well, what they're not focusing enough is on building out their own stories of how they were great, having six, maybe 10 core stories where they can highlight any kind of experience that may be asked of them, right? Whether it's about a difficult situation, whether it's about go-to-market strategy, whether it's about prioritizing a feature, whatever it may be. Have 10 core stories, know them inside and out, have all the variations that you need for all these. If you can remember that, you're going to be confident in this discussion. You're going to be able to answer anything. You're going to be able to show that you have the fit, that you understand what to do in the right situation. Very often people just don't understand how to even highlight their own experience. So I would spend more time on that than just applying and hoping that you'll do well in an interview. I think the fit comes from confidence. Fit comes from you having the ability and freedom to discuss and to highlight what you've done. And a lot of people are not very good at it. And I think on a third time around, I've gotten better. I'm still far from perfect, but that is, I think that's the single biggest factor that let me have a basically a very prolonged interview time, hundreds of interview to condense it into pretty much an 8 week process. And, have I'm looking at my board here, like 40% success rates getting to final rounds with all the companies that I've interviewed. So yeah, know how to sell yourself. That's my takeaway from this process.
100%. Like having I like loneliness right now is at an all-time high in the world since the pandemic. And in a time when people are feeling so isolated, feeling more connected is actually the valued currency. So, what I see with a lot of product managers is that they're going out of their way to have less human interaction when they should be increasing more human interaction. When I take a look at our competitors of Product Gym and also of Elevate, they're working on doing all this stuff to get people to like, they're releasing more curriculum, they're like making more videos. And I was like, that just doesn't make sense. We went the opposite direction. Like we are live streaming our coaching calls. Like we did more Like we did more coaching, we did actually more talk time, and we're actually
Mhm.
increasing more engagement and interaction, right? And like being really good sales is actually just having really good conversations with people
Yeah,
and like getting out there on the ground and like actually doing the face-to-face interaction. That's actually one of the reasons why people are choosing this program, actually getting more success out of this program than other people. I mean, I got a text message earlier today from Lawrence, and he was like, "Yo, these calls have been helping me feel really good." So even though I have all of these other like Google PMs or Meta PMs or Amazon PMs that started their own program and other boot camps that try to compete with us, I see like they're always like, oh yeah, like you have to want the job more than the school or the boot camp wants the job, right? Or the coach wants the job for you. And I was like, actually, no. We're running like two back-to-back sessions, nighttime and daytime, to get people to expedite the interview activity. Because if you're feeling too polarized and you're too isolated to go out there and actually like get the job, like you're not going to want to go out there and apply. How that translate in the interview arena is like on one end, people enjoy their work from home time, but on the other end, there's a damage to that people also realize too. But people want to do it on their own terms, right? The better
yeah,
they feel with you, the more they feel like they can work with you, the more they're just going to want to hire you. And that lack of desperation comes from volume. It's not coming from the confidence of your skills, it's coming
volume.
from volume.
I
Because
agree.
if you have other options, you don't feel like you need this job.
Okay, and I'd like to add one important point here. I think for that was really relevant for me is volume is so important because you are using somebody else's time to provide you with interview points, to practice, to get better, to get better at discussing a certain topic, maybe getting pushed back on something and learning how to respond to it. It's so important. And when you do it one time, when you do it 5 times, 10, 20, 30 times, on a 31st time, you are so good at handling these kind of objections. You are so good at handling these kind of questions. You're becoming natural at that conversation. You're able to then become yourself because then you're able to communicate with people. You're not nervous. You're not robotic. You're having a normal discussion. You're an expert in your own field and you're just having a peer-to-peer conversation. And this is how a lot of my interviews go these days. They're whether I'm speaking to a chief product officer, or chief revenue officer, or chief marketing officer, I'm talking to him as my peers because I understand what I'm doing. I know exactly what to say because I've done it so many times. I've done it 100 different times, and to say it 101 times is just a walk in the park. There's almost zero nerves or any kind of afraidness of not getting a question right. It's so this is very important. So volume is such a core sort of underlying or pillar, I think, of PG is volume, and that works all the time.
This is where the energy really kicks in. This is actually like a lot of these analysts, they're saying like one of the core reasons why Trump won was because he was just out campaigning, the sides of the Democrats because he was out there more. Everybody like hate him or love him, like he had a 2 hour breakfast with all the senators about like 48 hours before he took office, and they're like the stamina. A lot of these guys are like the stamina this guy has, right? When you come into the interview, you have to be ready to perform. You
Yeah.
have to be ready to go out there and bring your A game. Like, I'm on a 1 hour call with tech sales. I'm on a 1 hour. It always goes a little bit more than an hour, but I'm on another hour and a half call product. And then like I have like the cybersecurity folks that's coming up, and then like I have a double check in with the people that are full-time job hunting for product in the
Mhm.
morning. And if I was showing up there looking like shit, feeling like shit, not really on my A game, like people, people are feeding off of my energy to go out there and rally. Likewise, when people are interviewing you, they're feeding off of your energy as well, right? Like if you want
100%.
to go out there and work with somebody that's like ready to play ball, if you're coming in there kind of like you can answer all the questions correct, but if you're coming in there low energy, if you're coming in there desperate, if you're coming in there nervous, if you're coming in there like kind of feeling defeated because because you only book 2 interviews in a week, man, it doesn't even matter if you have like a PhD from like Harvard, and a lot of those people are getting rejected too, just simply because you're not making me feel like I want to run and grab my DocuSign
Mhm.
and send you an offer letter with the start date and a dollar amount.
Yeah.
Which is good news for y'all because the people that are complaining, they're just gonna get wiped out. I'm
I
perfectly okay with that.
it's I think attitude is a big one. When you come into the interview, I think one of the things that I learned, one, you have to be excited about what you do. I think that if you're not excited, it's really hard to bring that excitement, but I'm truly excited about these roles. I'm excited about the position. I'm excited about the work. So, and I like talking to people. Maybe that helps me a little bit here, but uh, starting a conversation where you are the energy, you're bringing people together, you're making sure that they're seeing that you want to be there, that you're excited to be there, you're excited to have that conversation, you're excited to share ideas. Those things are not difficult to do for 30, 40 minutes at a time. So I agree, you cannot be performative. You have to be kind of in it. You have to be just, if you have a stand-up desk, stand up, move your hands, move around, look around, point to things, um, laugh, whatever it is. Those things help because ultimately, another big factor here is the airport test, right? A lot of these people know that they're going to have to be sometimes in a room with you for 10 hours, brainstorming something, doing whatever it is, traveling with you to an offsite. And they want to know that the person they're going to be doing this with is not going to be some bore, some sort of awkward person that's really difficult to talk to or communicate or to even connect with. But ultimately, people want kind of friendly environment and they want fun people at work that happen to know what they're doing. So that's another fact that you want to convey, that not only that skill set, but also just you're a fun, cool person and they want to hang out with you all the time. I think that's a big one too. And so get up, smile, move, and connect with people.
I mean, motion creates emotion. There you
Yeah.
have it, folks. I'm so proud of you coming in here.
Yeah, I appreciate your help, Rich. It's been a good few years.
Dude, like so many PMs right now, they got an ego about like how is it that they're approaching the job hunt, and a lot of the questions I think that you asked me, like is it employee driven market, really comes to show me exactly how much end user empathy that you have, and you can't just be thinking about like marketing products and just software products. Like you're your most important product, I always say. So
Yeah,
like, with that said, if you ever need us again, you know exactly how to get in touch with us. Congratulations on the multiple offers. Yeah, I think you're gonna do. I think you're really gonna be doing very, very well in the next 4 years to come, man. Tech is back. It is fully back. It is back, back, back. Okay.
I agree. I agree. And I'm sure in the next 4 years you'll hear from me a couple more times. That's how the world is.
You'll see me a lot. You'll see me a lot. All right.
Oh man.
You have a great day. I'm gonna let you get to it.
Chatting with
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
All right. Good luck. Take care. Bye.